One of my managers said something that forced me to think about something that I don't think I've ever really considered before. If I have, it was from a different perspective. But basically, he was asking me if I have any expectations out of me having a venting session. Say, if I'm venting about something and you hear that something that the person is venting about looks like it's an area that that person venting could improve themselves, then you say something. And then I said, you know what? I thought that that was something inherent, but I guess personalities are different because I have heard people say that when they vent, they want to let it out, but they don't necessarily want someone's advice. I ultimately told him that I'm the kind of person who, if you hear me saying something and I'm fucking wrong, why wouldn't you tell me? I thought that I would officially create this topic so that I describe what is the point of venting to me from my perspective. Right off the bat, I can tell you that if I'm at the point of venting, it's because I want for it to be productive. Any conversation ever that I engage in, unless I'm being a clown, which even when I'm being a clown, I have an intention, I have a purpose. I like for my conversations to be productive. And by productive, I mean something that is going to either expand my knowledge, teach me something about my job, or a tip about life to keep me safe, such as, hey, you should not go out at nighttime with the tank near empty and hit the highway, especially without a backup. I think that would be great advice. That's the kind of advice that maybe if you had great grandparents or if you had great parents, then they would give you those tips about life, because the intention is for you to suffer as minimally as possible and be able to anticipate emergencies and keep yourself safe for the most part. Something like that. Now, when I'm being a clown, my intention is for me to have fun or to neutralize a miserable thing such as work. I try to make it fun, or I try to teach you yourself to not take yourself seriously, to not take life too terribly seriously. And the reason I say that is because if you guys remember my video about the class clown that I made, I used to hate, abhor, detest, despise the class clown because they were interrupting my purpose in school, which was to learn, to focus, to pay attention, to do well. I actually enjoyed school. I didn't mind it like other people. I didn't have attention issues. I didn't have retention issues. I didn't have obedience issues. Therefore, when the class clown would act out, that would activate the hate sensor in my brain, and I just wish I could neutralize that motherfucker. But now that I'm an adult, now that I'm grown, I can still resent the class clown a little bit at work. Like, come on, at some point, this is work. You gotta be able to take it seriously. But I have a vast appreciation now for the person who's able to be humorous in the midst of something that can be a drain, can be miserable, like work. And now, if I were to go back to school, if the class clown can determine wisely when to be the clown, that would be awesome. That would be productive, because I gotta face it, I had great memories with some class clowns who legit made me laugh, who made me break my character, and I thought, you're so stupid, but that was funny. I'm so glad you said it. And now, as an adult, I wish I had more class clowns in my day, but the kinds that are safe. Like, okay, you can be a clown for like 2 minutes, but then you can go back to being a normal grown adult with positive details to provide. By positive, I mean that you're going to contribute to my knowledge, to my growth, to my development. That's the first thing you need to know about me venting. If I'm venting, it's because I have reached a point of frustration in which a communication, an idea, a concern, a method about work, usually it's work that makes me want to vent. Something like that socially. There is something happening that I have tried to rectify, but it's not productive. An example of that would be if I tell you that the machine is ready for you to take your payment, why are you asking me, is it ready? Clearly, you're not paying attention. You're not listening. That is something that I cannot control. That is something that I cannot fix. Or if I go like, would you like a bag? And you don't respond, and I leave your items out of the bag, and then you say, can I have a bag? Or other times it's, I'll put the item inside a bag and you go like, oh, actually, I don't need the bag. Shit like that. It's like, motherfucker, I asked you, in what planet were you when I said that? That is when I start getting a little annoyed and I need to vent, because maybe it's something that I need to improve. Maybe the timing of my question is what needs to be improved. Maybe it's my volume. Maybe it's the customers themselves. Maybe I just gotta wait for them to get their shit together and wait for them to instruct me, even if it's an inconvenience to the flow of my line. Whatever, I'll sacrifice the extra 10 seconds. That's what I mean. In addition, I like when whoever has the privilege of hearing me vent tries to fix something. Because if I'm venting to you in the first place, in person, you ought to consider yourself very privileged, very lucky, because to me, the act of talking is something that I reserve. And I do that for a reason. It's my source of power. For me, socializing, social events, social activities of any sort are draining. They suck my soul. I hate them. And that's why usually when I'm here on the channel, you guys see me, I'm secluded, I'm by myself, I'm controlling the environment. It's quiet. If I cannot control that, I'll find a place that's quiet. I'm always by myself. And I do that for a reason, because I need to be able to let my thoughts out untainted. And in the presence of other people, there'll be that stupid idiot who has to interject every 3 seconds that you say something like, oh, wow, oh, like unnecessary reactions. I don't need that shit, because that's not something that I do. Unless it's something extreme and shocking and like terrible news, that may get a reaction out of me. But sometimes I'll tell people, oh, so tomorrow I gotta go drive to the next town over. Oh my God, that is far. And I gotta go pick up a package. Oh my God, how long does that take you? And oh my God, it's gonna be cold. I get out one sentence, they're reacting. Another sentence, they're reacting. Let me tell you my story. I need to drive to the next town over to pick up a package. Oh, wow, I hope it's not too time consuming. Something like that. Wait for your turn to react, but some people overreact. And that is the kind of shit that gives me material to vent about. I want to vent about how people react practically when it's not their turn to react. And I don't know if it's because of the social protocol that I was raised with, which is wait for your turn. And just because I'm grown doesn't mean that I wipe my ass with what I learned back in the day. I still practice that. If I'm venting to you in the first place, I'm expecting that if you believe I'm in the wrong about something, you know your place and you have the guts to say something. You just should. If you don't, then to me that tells me that this is petty, this is unnecessary, this is a waste of time for me because I'm not gaining anything, I'm not growing in any way, and that's pretty freaking annoying for me. But if you have something that I'm venting about, you wish to contribute and turn my perception around, do it. But if that's not you, you know who you are at this point in my real life. You know if you have the authority to do that. And the way to determine if that's you, it's you either have witnessed me crying, or I have shared with you something personal, or I have told you, don't tell anybody, but ... If I'm already telling you to not tell somebody, it's because I can trust you with not telling somebody. I have already put you to the test. But I want you to know that even if you were to consider divulging this, this is not the type of thing to divulge. And another thing that I can think of about the point of venting is that because I know my level of maturity, because I know that I don't get offended by anything, especially at solutions or different perspectives, I want to hear it. But there are people out there who say that they cannot stand it when people are critical or people get deep or offer feedback like that. And me personally, the way I perceive people like that is, when are you going to grow out of your high school phase? If you are entering a certain season in your life, you have to embrace it. If you're an elder at all, I should be able to talk to you about anything and get good advice, because the mileage that I'm beginning to run, clock in through life, you have already experienced that. You are one of the people who I would inherently respect. But if you're one of those older people who still has growing to do, I find it weird. You should have growing to do based on your season, not that you're still stuck in like 3 seasons ago. You're still behaving like a high schooler, even though you're supposed to be raising grandkids now. That type of thing. That's what I mean. With me personally, yes, I do act stupid sometimes, but I know my place currently based on my age. It doesn't matter what my education level is. It doesn't matter what my career choice is. I know where I'm at. And that's why some people who have a tendency of having an attitude of just fucking around, I tend to not do well with them. And that tends to be younger people. I'm sorry, you cannot exist in my circle. You just can't. So don't. Even if I were to be like, okay, I can tolerate you in small doses, I would rather not have you around at all, because I know what to expect from you. As someone who is a child, I know what to expect and what to provide. As someone who's a teen, I know what to expect and what to provide. As someone who's like in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, 60s, 70s, all that stuff, I am equipped to identify what kind of interaction this ought to be based on your place. But a lot of people don't take that into account. And I think that's where the problem comes from. But I also think that some people have trouble expressing that and making themselves be treated as such or respected as such. I think that how you present yourself in that first interaction is the most important thing. Usually, the things that I vent about, that's pretty much how I'm piecing it together. You may notice me saying something like, I cannot believe that I have this manager who's like 30 years older than me, and they're treating me so rudely, so inhumanely, so disrespectfully, blah, blah, blah. That type of thing. That's how I vent. Or, wow, I cannot believe that I have a coworker who's been here for 10 years longer than me, and they still behave like they only got hired a month ago. That type of thing. So there you guys have it. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this made sense. I'm glad that my manager said it like that, because it provoked all these thoughts in me. And I can't believe that I had never really quite pieced it together like this. I have expressed over the years how it is that I socialize, how it is that I put myself out there, but I had never expressed it from the perspective of what is my goal when I vent. What is the purpose of me venting? Am I venting to let it out, but I don't want to hear anything else about it? Or is my venting open to criticism? And the answer is yes. Hell yes. Unless it's something that I'm legit crying about, and I'm crying about something because it's about my intimate life, something intimate, then no, it's not open to criticism yet. At that moment in time, it isn't. But if I bring the topic back up at a different time and my demeanor is better, that would be the time to do it.